Sometimes, hard work alone isn't enough, because effort without direction is like running on a treadmill. You move a lot, but go nowhere. In this video, you'll hear the story of a man who worked harder than anyone else, yet kept failing until one simple realization changed his life forever. So don't miss this story till the end, because it might just change the way you work, too. Once upon a time, in a small town surrounded by green hills and dusty roads, there lived a man named Jacob. He was known as the hardest working man in the entire town. Every morning, before the sun even rose, Jacob was already awake, carrying heavy sacks of vegetables to the market, sweating through his torn shirt, and working till his body begged him to stop. People admired him for his dedication. "Look at Jacob," they'd say. "He works like a machine. One day, he'll be a rich man." But years passed, and nothing changed. Jacob still lived in the same small house. His bicycle was still old and rusted, and his pockets still empty. The truth was, Jacob was exhausted. One evening, after another long, tiring day, Jacob sat by the riverbank. The sun was setting, painting the water in shades of orange and gold. He looked at his cracked hands and whispered to himself, "Why? Why am I still struggling when I work harder than everyone else?" Just then, an old man walked by wearing simple clothes but with a calm, wise face. He noticed Jacob and stopped. "Son," he said gently, "you look troubled." Jacob sighed. "I work all day and night, sir, yet I can barely feed my family. What am I doing wrong?" The old man smiled knowingly. "You're working hard," he said, "but not smart." Jacob frowned. "What's the difference? Work is work." The old man picked up 2 stones from the ground. One big, one small. He threw the big one into the river. Splash! It sank instantly. Then he threw the small one at an angle. It skipped across the water several times before sinking. "See that?" said the old man. "Both stones went into the same river, but one used its angle, not just its weight. Smart work is about using your mind, not just your muscles." Jacob listened silently. The old man continued, "Stop asking, 'How much can I do?' and start asking, 'How can I do it better?'" And with that, he walked away, leaving Jacob deep in thought. The next morning, Jacob woke up early again, but this time, something was different. Instead of rushing to the market, he sat down with a notebook and started thinking. He realized that every day he spent half his time carrying sacks, while most of them spoiled before being sold. He thought, what if I could sell directly to people instead of to middlemen? He borrowed a little money, bought a small cart, and started going door to door in nearby neighborhoods. He smiled at people, offered fresh vegetables at fair prices, and even suggested recipes to housewives. Slowly, his customers started waiting for him every morning. In just a few months, Jacob's income doubled. He no longer had to carry heavy loads to the distant market because the customers came to him. And then he went a step further. He began buying vegetables from other farmers and selling them too. He wasn't just a seller now. He was a businessman. The same people who once said, "He works too hard," were now saying, "He works smart." That's why he's growing. One day, Jacob met the old man again at the same riverbank. He ran up to him and said, "Sir, you were right. I used my head instead of just my hands, and my life changed." The old man smiled warmly. "Remember, son," he said softly, "hard work builds strength, but smart work builds success. Together, they create greatness." Jacob bowed with gratitude. He finally understood. Success doesn't come from how much you sweat, but from how well you think. And so, Jacob's story reminds us all, you can spend your whole life running in circles, working harder than everyone else. But if your direction is wrong, your effort becomes your prison. Before you work harder, stop and think. Find the smarter way, the right way. Because in life, it's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters most. So, remember, hard work makes you tired. Smart work makes you successful. Which one will you choose?